Megan Thee Stallion did not drop her charges against Tory Lanez. Demi Lovato speaks to aliens. Plus Joe Biden rejoins the Paris Climate Accord. All of that and a lot more, but first, if you could please smash that like button to show some love to the channel, we would really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin the InformOverload weekly roundup. Initially, multiple websites were reporting that Megan Thee Stallion had dropped all assault charges against Tory Lanez for the July 2020 incident. However, moments after the story began to flood the internet, Megan Thee Stallion tweeted out to correct everyone. In the tweet, she said, "At this point, I'm getting annoyed. Stop believing everything you read on the internet. Imagine how I feel waking up every day seeing people lie and turn my trauma into a joke. That whole team figures out ways to create doubt with my story every week and the media eats it up." Now, due to the fact that Tory Lanez was charged by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, it wouldn't have been Megan anyways dropping these charges. Additionally, music reporter Joe Coscarelli tweeted out, "A rep for Tory Lanez says it is not true that charges against him in the Megan Thee Stallion shooting were dropped. The blog that posted this info is wrong. I assume the docket hasn't been updated. The next hearing date is in mid-February." Now, if these charges in question do lead to a conviction, Tory Lanez could be looking at a possible max sentence of 22 years and 8 months in state prison. For now, those are all of the details that we have on this story though, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jared for news on the executive orders signed by President Joe Biden.
Joe Biden was inaugurated on January 20th, 2021, and within hours was already getting to work as President of the United States. Following through with one of his many promises while campaigning, Biden signed an executive order to once again join the Paris Climate Agreement, which President Trump pulled the country out of within the first few months of taking office. It's believed the United States will officially join the agreement 30 days after the United Nations receives a letter from the country, indicating their support. In a nutshell, the Paris Climate Accord is an agreement led by the UN, involving numerous countries committed to actively putting forth the effort to reduce global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. They do so by finding alternative ways to use energy, as well as supporting other countries in their efforts. Science! It's good to see one of the world's most powerful nations thinking about the rest of the world again, and hopefully we'll see real changes in our environment sooner than later. Alright guys, back to you.
Thanks for that update, Jared, and with that, let's send it over to Brie's Corner.
We're only about 3 weeks into 2021, and so far a lot has happened. There were riots, scandals, and now some weird trends have popped up. Monkey tail beards are seemingly the weirdest new trend that I think I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot in my 22 years of life. Essentially, this new style of facial hair sort of curves around the person's face, going from a mustache to half a beard connected to a sideburn, and it really does sort of look like you have a monkey's tail wrapped around your head. But why you want to look like that is beyond me, but I digress. Maybe this is another quarantine trend. With a lot of people back in lockdown, some people might be looking for a bit of adventure with their looks, and since we're all stuck inside, what's the harm in trying something that looks a little ridiculous? Though some people are totally on board with this bizarre look, others aren't really all that into it, and some Twitter users have been debating whether or not it's cool. Me, I think that this style falls in the same category as the mullet. It's definitely a choice, and only few can truly pull it off. When we do another recap of this year in December, I will bring this up again and we can all have a good laugh about it. Unless, of course, you're one of those people that actually did it. And in that case, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks for that, Brie, and I definitely hope these monkey tail beards do not hang around. With that though, let's move on to some feel-good news, shall we? I really love this next story because it gives me hope for the next generation. An 8-year-old boy named Kavanaugh Bell from Gaithersburg, Maryland started his own food pantry, and because of this, he was featured on national television as part of the Celebrating America special for President Joe Biden's inauguration. In a segment speaking from his hometown, he said, "I spread positivity to inspire others to change the world. Because the pandemic left so many in need, I decided to make care packs to help elderly people in my community, and now I'm able to gather supplies to give to families across the country." Initially, Kavanaugh had created care packages for the elderly in his neighborhood using his own savings from birthday and Christmas money. However, as word began to spread of this kind gesture, he began receiving donations, and so with the help of his mother, they opened a food pantry called Love is Greater Than COVID-19. Now, Kavanaugh has also set up a GoFundMe page that has surpassed their goal already, but if you feel like spreading the positivity, then I will put a link for that in the description down below. And with that, let's send it over to Mackenzie for some news about Demi Lovato talking to aliens.
Thanks, Johnny. And now over to the spill zone. So we have some very interesting Demi Lovato news. So if you follow Demi on Instagram, you already know that she is adamant about making contact with aliens. Yes, aliens. And chasing UFOs is now one of her favorite pastimes. She shared on her Instagram a while ago that she was in the desert with Dr. Stephen Greer, a doctor specializing in extraterrestrial intelligence, telling her followers that we need to meditate and make contact with extraterrestrial life. And even after a lot of skepticism in the comments of that post, Demi is still exploring alien life and urging her followers to do the same. She spoke more about it on a recent episode of Kesha's podcast, saying, quote, "The week I was in Joshua Tree with Stephen Greer, I saw a bunch of stuff. I saw this really bright light. This blue orb kept floating in front of us, 20 to 30 feet away. When I would walk up to it, it would keep floating back 20 to 30 feet away." Adding that they called that orb kindness because it cured someone's deafness in the past. Demi then went on to speak about the power of meditation and astral projection. And it seems like Kesha has been influenced by Demi because Kesha later told ET, quote, "I'm like trying to get all my friends and family into meditating the aliens to us. It's my new hobby because of Demi Lovato." Demi also posted an Instagram a few days ago recording a floating object in the sky with the caption, quote, "They're coming." And I don't know about you guys, this makes me really uncomfortable. Like, it has been confirmed that aliens exist after that Israeli space chief exposed there is a galactic federation, but I'm personally not ready to try and contact them. Guys, please let me know your comments about this in the live chat or the comments. This is just blowing my mind that celebrities are actually doing this.
Thanks for that story update, Mackenzie. Now to close things out, I'm going to answer some of your questions from our last weekly roundup. RJane17 says, "Talking smack with Mac, not that you really talk smack, but it flows nicely." It's true, it does flow nicely, although it's Mackenzie. She doesn't like Mac, so there is that. Nikki Price says, "I see everyone's jumping on the bandwagon." Nikki, I love a good pun, so there's your feature, and bravo on that. That was a great joke. The Vision Alpha Legend Limited says, "Well, I guess the pharmacy didn't want their employees to die hard from COVID-19. We really do have the funniest supporters in the world. Thank you so much for that comment. Jamal Blake says, "I say her segment should be called the Tea of the Week or Tea Talk." Those are also good options. Let me know in the chat what you think of those. Erica Eklund says, "I don't understand why you don't call it Brie's room when it's right there in her name." We've been over this. I understand that it was a missed opportunity. I merely accepted the weekly roundup responsibilities, and the graphic had already been made. But if Daniela feels like it, maybe we'll change it to Brie's room. Who knows? But that's to the editor, and I don't want to put too much work on the editor, you know? Danielle's already killing it with so much work. But that has been the weekly roundup, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Jared Bronstein. Thank you to Brie Room. Thank you to Mackenzie Smith. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes at Inform Overload. And until next time, stay classy, YouTube.
Working from home is horrible.
All right, let's go. It's roundup time.
All right, guys, back to you. Or whoever, I don't know who. I didn't say science throughout that whole thing either. I gotta say it a couple times now. Science! Science!
Goes to Mac. Mac attacks. Then it comes back.
Oh, I don't know who I'm thanking for the roundup. Maybe I'll just do a few. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Brie. Thanks, Jared.
Scrolling. Scroll. All right. Oh, and the screen goes off.